Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 16 of Import Nights, the review series for GranTurismo's very strong selection and very good value for money selection of Japanese JDM performance cars. And in this particular pick we're featuring one of the quickest cars of the series, a seriously rapid machine, and a very quick car actually for its power. This is not the most powerful of JDM cars. The Skyline and the Supra, as examples, are both more powerful than this, but for the power that it does have, this car is extremely fast for its power. Now the car is the premium spec Nissan 300ZX. This car is powered by a 3-litre turbo engine, it's rear-wheel drive, and it puts out some serious numbers. 873 horsepower in the case of the premium. Some of the non-premium models actually have over 900 horsepower. In the case of this model, you're also looking at 658 foot-pounds of torque. It weighs in at a pretty reasonable, actually, 1,208 kilos, which for a vehicle with a lot of tech packed into it is actually not bad at all. As far as horsepower per tonne, it's, as you'd expect, pretty high, 723, which is actually higher than quite a few race cars even. The PP fully tuned is, I would say, very reasonable, actually, but there is a reason for it. And the PP is 602, fully tuned. But the reason for that PP is the handling. Now, this is not, strictly speaking, a bad handling car, especially if you don't fully tune it. If you focus primarily on making it a cornering or grip based vehicle, it can be a very useful track car. But most people don't. Most people have the 300ZX as a straight line missile, and it's very good at that. In fact, it can take on vehicles like the Supra, but the handling does suffer when you tune it in that way and to that level. Because at the end of the day, this car doesn't have all-wheel drive, as some of the other more powerful JDM cars, such as the Skyline, make use of. Now, it's not the only big, powerful rear-wheel drive JDM car. The Supra is a perfect example of that, and the Supra has similar handling. So if you perhaps haven't driven this car in its fully tuned form, but you do own a Supra, you've pretty much got a point of reference there, because the handling characteristics and the overall performance actually is very similar on both vehicles. Now, I would say that the 300ZX has a lower centre of gravity and feels more stable through corners than the Supra, feels more like a pure sports car, whereas the Supra has a little bit more of, not quite a sedan feel to it, but it's definitely a taller vehicle, and it feels such. This car is much wider, flatter, lower, feels more like, well, a pure sports car. As far as its straight line performance, it's a monster. It can do around 285 miles per hour or more without NOS, without draft. Even more so, of course, if you do use those things, and the acceleration, especially mid-range, is very, very strong. Off the line there is quite a bit of wheel spin, as you'd expect, but once this car picks up, and once those turbos kick in, it's a monster. This car actually can beat most other vehicles in its power range. There aren't many cars with around 870 horsepower which can keep up with this. Usually the vehicles that can beat it, such as the Supra, have a lot more power to work with. Now, overall, for the price of just under 40 grand, I would say that the value for money, especially speaking bang for buck, on this car is really good. If you're looking purely for straight line power and straight line speed, both acceleration and top speed, this is an excellent car. It's cheaper than the Supra, almost as quick, and does pretty much the same job with less power. That's pretty admirable. Plus, this is a full premium with some interesting body modification options. As a track car, though, you do need to be more careful, because like with the Supra, if you are planning to use it around corners, you may want to be careful of how much power you put into it. Because when you put serious power into the 300ZX, it turns into much more of a pure straight line machine than something like a Skyline or a Mitsubishi GTO. The all-wheel drive on those cars really does help them a lot with keeping their composure, grip, and performance up through twisty corners. The Supra, the 300ZX, and some others don't have that fail-safe, if you will, to save them. It's more down to you as the driver, and although some people probably can pilot 870 horsepower through the rear wheels of a 300ZX on a twisty circuit, for the vast majority of people that's not going to be easy. So my overall verdict of the 300ZX is that for value for money, especially as I said bang for buck, it's an excellent car, one of the best in the game in fact, and it's not as obvious a choice as the Supra. Everyone thinks of the Supra as being incredibly quick for the money, but this car is not far behind that kind of speed for a lower price. So overall, if you fancy trying something different, and not necessarily just the premium model, as I said, the non-premiums are in some cases even more powerful than this, then give this car a try. It's certainly worth your time and attention, and it's quicker than many people think it will be. So overall, that's it for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.